Hello, friends, and welcome to the Monday Show 26. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend Roots. Roots, it's Monday again, man.
Yeah, it's Monday and the week is just starting, which is actually kind of sad. A little depressing, but we have the one good news is every Monday we come to is one more Monday closer to Half-Life Alex, and I'm getting psyched. So
Yeah, me too. And it's odd, in my own personal experience in my life because this weird juxtaposition I've created for myself now has made Monday become what Friday once was for me, or Saturday rather, because my weekend now starts on Monday. And as everyone's wiping the crust from their eyes and going off to start their work week, I just have finished
you
mine.
bastard.
And I'm starting to turn my attention to virtual reality and to virtual strangers as well.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to you on Friday when my weekend's starting almost and yours is ending.
Right. When
We'll
I'm
flip it.
struggling to stay awake and edit,
Yeah.
and you're just taking it easy.
I'm just chilling. I'm just hanging out and playing games with all the community. But
And going to the wave. Did you go to the wave any this week?
I did actually. I went in a little bit. I was kind of bummed because I got out of doing VR and I thought, wow, or what was I doing? I was doing something that distracted. So I got out and I thought, okay, I can go in for a little bit. And I got the end of one wave and I talked to Band Killer and was like, yeah, I'm gonna go into the next one, and it just kept kicking me out. Like it had said something about there was a network issue connecting. And the worst part is like nobody was in the lobby. So they were in there. I couldn't get
Right.
in. I could see there was 41 people. So it was a very busy party, and Roots was excluded. I was like looking in the window and looked like everyone was having fun, but I couldn't get in there. So
Oh,
I was a little bummed.
how sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad. Everybody goes to the party, but Root's not invited.
Yeah. So I don't know what was going on. I've never seen that before, but it was a network error, and I tried to go in 3 times, and the worst part is it kept going to a black screen so long that I ended up restarting the program. So maybe if I would have just waited a little longer, but I don't know. I guess I wasn't meant to be into that party. So
Well, they told us when we first started going in there that if like over 31 or 32 people went into it, that it would start a second instance and there would be a second room, but with the same party in it, if that makes sense. Different people, same music and visuals. But maybe that part of it's not so fleshed out. Maybe it just got so crowded that it broke.
yeah, well, they had 41, so there must have been a second party of 9, but and that was my other conundrum, Wes. If I would have got in, because when I first, we all were in there, okay, and like all the important people, Scott Marshall, you got Band Killer, you got all the people that you're used to seeing, right? Because you get used to these people, and so I popped out, and I thought, I'm getting in here quick. I want to get in the main room, and then I got that whole thing got out, and when I went to go back in, I saw there was 41. My conundrum was, as I'm not going to be in the main room, and would it be the same with the schlubby 9 extra people? I want the main people. So
Right. Right. Yeah, I get it. I thought about jumping in it as well. I went to sleep, of course. I passed out, and but I did wake up right around the time that you were getting ready to go in there, and I knew it. I knew you'd be going in there, and I thought if I could just get out of bed, I'd go into the wave. And I never woke, I never woke up enough to stand. I did check the schedule, and I saw that the Illuminati, or which the one I really wanted to see was already over with,
mm,
and there was some other one going on at the time. But yeah, I didn't make it in. I did, however, find a concert upcoming like next week or maybe the week after.
26th.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So I think I might check that one out.
Yeah, for sure. I want to check that out. What's kind of cool is I saw Anthony from VR 365 today in Alt Space of all places, which shocked the hell out of me. And he was talking about the wave. I asked him if he'd been in it. He said he'd been in it a long time ago, and I was telling him how cool it was and about the live shows, and he was asking when they were and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see him checking it out on one of these Friday or Saturday nights as well.
That's cool. We need to get some people in there. That's kind of the whole point here. Grow it to the point that it's a viable option for larger recording artists to put together some experiences for the end user.
I want to see more of the ones that are those 3 that are on the wall. I want to see those start rotating. I want to see a new one every day or every week, or that would be amazing. Because, you know, sometimes I just want to drop in the middle of no time, like not at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock on a Friday or Saturday. I want to just jump into a poster and go into an experience. And I've seen all 3 of them. So it would be really cool if that changed every week as well. So.
Yeah, you're right, because the wave really is 2 different things, and you don't always want to just go in to have this big social experience. It's not, you don't feel like a party all the time, right? Sometimes you just want to go take in some music and some scenery, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Friday night, actually I went in to one of the parties as well, and I was feeling exactly like you're describing. I went in and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I literally went into a corner and I shut off my audio from people and I just watched the show. I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Sometimes I just don't feel social. I'm usually very, very social, but when I get into an experience like that or around people and I'm not feeling social, then I really don't want to be social. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's like, it's either one or the other. No in between. So.
Yeah, so what you need to do is just slightly change your name, put on a horsey face, and instead of being I am Roots for a night, go in there and be I am Ruts.
Yeah, well, that's what people think I am anyway. But, you know, maybe if I changed it to 2 T's, they would start calling me Roots, which makes no sense. But yeah, so.
Anyway, let's talk some VR games, Roots. We did our obligatory nightly talk about the wave. I guess we could talk about Saints and Sinners for a little while we're at it, right?
Yeah.
Did you make it to the schoolyard, the gymnasium?
No, I didn't. Actually, I heard somebody talking about it, but I need to get into that because that's supposed to be the best areas in Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. From what I've heard, is like just the atmosphere. So.
Okay, so there we go. We've got the wave in. We've got Saints and Sinners in. Now we can get on with our show.
Yeah. I already prematurely jumped to the scene here, so everybody knows one of the things we're talking about here.
Well, I'll go ahead and set it up. The games that Roots and I are going to be talking about this week, we decided to bring back our old segment because I said so. And for those of you who are not familiar, what the Because I Said So segment is I pick a game for Roots to play. Roots picks a game for me to play. And it doesn't matter if I want to play it or not. And it doesn't matter if he wants to play it or not. He has to play it. Why? Because I said so. And this is In Death that you're looking at here. And the reason why you're looking at this here is because this is what Roots requested that I play. No, this is what Roots demanded that I play. Roots, why In Death?
What's funny is I was going through my thing. This is before we even decided to do the segment, and I just caught In Death as I was going through, and I thought Wes still hasn't fucking played this game, and it bothered me because it's so good, and you kind of like just blew it off as another wave shooter of sorts, and I thought this is like right up your alley. It's got creepy things. It's kind of gory in a sense. And I just thought it would be a game that I know you would appreciate. And maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Maybe you thought this was the biggest piece of shit that you've ever played. And you're like, Roots, I don't know why you wasted my hour and a half, 2 hours of time. And I don't know. So what did you think of this?
Well, the game itself was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. But with that said, I had a lot more fun than I thought I would have. It's very addictive. It's one of those just one more time games. You know, you go through it. It's very difficult, especially at the beginning. You always kind of feel like, well, that wasn't my best run. I can do better, right? And you keep going in and oh, that wasn't my best run. I can do better, and you make it a little bit further and a little bit further, but they don't ease you in, do they? It's pretty much balls to the wall right from the very beginning.
Yeah, what I love about this game is it's procedurally generated, and so you never know what's going to happen. And as you watch the cathedral grow out of the ground, it's just so cool. And I don't know, I know there's different ways to move around. You got the locomotion, you got the shard you can throw around, and you have the bow and arrow. You can shoot the you know, the kind of like the shard, the teleport. I personally, my personal way I like it is the locomotion with the shard, and the shard I love because you can grab it and just throw it behind you, and when things are coming at you, and just go balls to the walls. Now I'm not a big fan of the crossbow, which is ironic because were telling me that's where things changed for you. Is like you loved it once you got the crossbow, right?
Well, it wasn't that really that I enjoyed it all that much more. I was just better at it. The game became a lot easier for me when I had a one-handed weapon that I could shoot, and it's just I was able to lean upon my prior VR experience
Mm.
when I switched to the one-handed weapon. I haven't really played a lot of archery games before. I've played a few minutes here and a few minutes there, but what I did in Death tonight was by far the most time I've ever spent with the VR bow and arrow in my hand.
Oh, okay. No, I really enjoy it. My biggest thing about this is just the way the enemies interact with you as well, and how quickly they sneak up on you. Now, this gameplay I picked was it's actually a dungeon. A lot of people think this is just kind of a wave shooter, but there's actual dungeons, bosses, and you know, like you were telling me earlier, there's things you unlock and ways to build your character so you can actually get through these things. Man, I ran through one time just to see if I could get to the boss area or one of them, and I just teleported past a bunch of shit, and I got in there and I instantly regretted it. I thought, oh my God, what is going on? I was running around in the portal, trying not to die because I didn't have the shit I needed in there. It gets pretty crazy. So I don't know.
Yeah, it starts out difficult and it only gets more difficult as you go. And you're like most roguelikes, you're meant to develop your player as you go. Like you earn gold as you kill the enemies. You use that gold to buy weapon upgrades and character upgrades, as well as you unlock achievements as you play through it, and by unlocking those achievements, you gain abilities. So the further you go, the more equipped you become, which allows you to go even further and become more equipped. And it's a well designed roguelike game. There aren't very many that I've played that are as complete as this one is as far as the gameplay goes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely think it's well rounded, very well crafted. I enjoy it, and I think it's well worth picking up for sure.
Yeah, I played it for I don't know, somewhere between 2 and 3 hours, and I only stopped because I had Monday show to do. That was the only reason. I was still digging it. I just had switched to the crossbow. I think I did 2 runs with the crossbow, and I probably did, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 with the bow and arrow before that. But oddly enough, my crossbow run was way longer than any of those bow and arrow runs.
I bet. You know, I like at the end too when it shows you, show you every single guy you've killed, and it like
Yeah.
stacks them next to each other, and it can either look very very impressive or very very demoralizing as you see that you only killed like 10 things, and you're like, man, what the fuck was I doing? But yeah, no, I definitely recommend picking this up. This is a store, and like you were saying, you could pick up you know, all sorts of items, and it's pretty cool. So
Yeah. The game in general, the store and the larger game in general, as you're going through it, it takes you a minute to kind of figure out how everything works. But, you know, it isn't long before you really get the gist of it and the hang of it. You know what it really made me want to do is Breakout Ninja Legends again.
Oh yeah, dude. That there's so much to that game that we never got to. I never got to see the Wolverine claws, and
Or the archery update.
yeah, or the archery update. And that was one of those games where it just felt like things got out of control, crazy. Things are just constantly coming out at you. So yeah, I agree.
But yeah, my main hang up with this and the reason for not wanting to play it was the fact that it was procedurally generated. And I generally, if I'm going to play through a game, I like for a nice, diverse environment, something pretty to look at. What really surprised me more than anything about this game was just how beautiful it was. I jacked up the super sampling way high. I was on 1.5 outside the game. I was on 2.0 inside the game with the quality setting all the way up. It ran smoothly, and the stained glass windows. I really just love those stained glass windows.
Just everything about the way these cathedrals look and the music, it's like it really does make you feel like you're almost in a Catholic church or something. And it kind of adds to the creep value as far as some of these creatures coming out at you. It's like got this music and it kind of looks like a church almost. And you go around this corner and all of a sudden something's jumping in your face, and is definitely one for jump scares of shit jumping out. And the different diverse characters, those my favorite are the different knights. They have the ones that are they got the shield and they're jumping and lunging at you, and so it just adds an element of difficulty that you just don't have with some of the other creatures, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did all right with those guys most of the time because pretty good with the headshots, and especially when I've got an enemy coming at me. My approach for most of the game was long range. I tried to snipe from far away. So really the one that gave me the most trouble were the other archers because those guys could reach me.
And not only that, but they teleport you and they'll come up behind you and they do all sorts of weird shit. But
yeah, I got off the beaten path and got down in the snow and thought I was safe from those guys. And then all of a sudden I had 3 of them all around me and dead quick.
Yeah, they don't fuck around, man. Did you know, now you may have not noticed, but if you push one of the buttons, your bow and arrow will turn into a shield. And I never used the shield. And I think I was watching Anthony's gameplay one time or something. And I was thinking, oh my God, there's a shield. It would help to actually use the shield Roots. Yeah, so I guess you were one up on me. You knew about the shield. So
yeah, I used the shield. It was in the tutorial. But the cool thing, the thing I really liked about the shield was the fact that it's not just like an end all be all. Like you can have your shield deployed and still get hit. Like it's small. they can lob arrows over your shield, so it kind of really matters where you're holding it as to whether or not you're going to get hit.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those games that's easy enough to pick up, but it takes enough skill to get far. I mean, you're just not, like you said, you're not going to walk into it and just start raping it. It's going to take some learning curve. So
yeah, I don't think I made it up to 20,000 points on any of my runs, and I see people that I know on YouTube that are, plugging away night after night in a quest to score 1 million. Can you imagine making 1 million on that thing, dude?
I don't know, man. That would just be crazy. What's cool is like you can just run around. There's so much shit. I could see you doing it for sure. But I just think, I guess, like part of me really likes this the teleporting with the bow and arrow. Just the way that this guy's doing it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a well put together game with a nice complete set of gameplay mechanics. The basic fundamentals of projectile battle apply here. High ground is valuable. You have the advantage on high ground. Stealth is another big advantage if you can manage to preserve it.
Yeah.
And accuracy, of course, always. It matters where you hit the enemy. If you shoot them in the leg, they're going to keep coming. If you put one in their head, they'll probably stop right in their tracks.
Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I was surprised. I had a lot of fun with it. Definitely going to go back in and play some more, maybe even after the Monday show.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, so there you have it. In Death, Roots' choice for me to play because he said so. So, what did I choose for Roots to play because I said so? Well, I chose Res Infinite. And anybody who's been in VR more than a day and a half already knows about this game. It has garnered a legendary status up to this point. I played through this game, mostly through this game, I should say, not that long ago, and just had an absolute blast. I know Roots had it or had some prior experience with it, but he didn't play it very long at all. I remember feeling like he hadn't played it long enough to really get why this game is so good. So I decided I would make him try it again today. Roots, what'd you think?
Yeah, it's funny when you first picked it for me. It's exactly how I thought. I thought, man, I've played this before a little bit. I must not have liked it that much, or I don't know. I had this aversion to going into it. I have no idea why. And then I went into it and I was playing through the first Res original, and I was like, fuck, I don't remember any of this. And then so I played through that, and then I went into Area X and I started playing it, and I was like, holy shit. And then like I ended up playing that. I played all the levels. I ended up getting like Singularity and Bird in the Sky and Artistry, all these awards. Like I took no damage in the Area X. I can't believe that. That blew me away, which is probably really easy, but everyone's like, dude, that's no big deal. But no, I really enjoyed this game, and what blew me away the most was the actual areas. Like you have what, area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I got to the 5th one, I was like, what the fuck is going on? There's bosses and all sorts of weird shit. Like there's so much more to this game, to the point where I thought I was done. And then I was like, well, what are these areas? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that there was more to it. It's weird, but it was very amazing.
Yeah, amazing how the levels layer up, right? As you go through it and you break down each layer of security, and then like another layer of visuals just blanket everything, and it gets so complex toward the end that it's kind of hard to keep track of it from time to time.
Yeah. So apparently, I guess I got the Singularity. It says you clear the area with your avatar as high as it can be at the highest point, which I thought was kind of ironic for me. But yeah, so I was at the highest point and I did the Singularity, and I didn't get hit at all. I don't even know what the hell was going on, man. And I triggered some alternate boss, man, final boss. So I did all sorts of shit in the first time, and I never,
Wow.
I don't know what I did. It was pretty cool.
Wow. Well, uh, I think I have an idea, because this is one of those trance games that if you let it take you, it can put you in a different mind frame and kind of hold you there unbeknownst to you. So maybe you just kind of zoned into it and got into that happy place where the game plays you.
Yeah, yeah. I think the game was playing me like a fiddle. But yeah, it was definitely amazing. I'm hoping, I'm really hoping, Wes, that this trailer gets to the actual gameplay as we're talking about it, because this is an amazing how to play. But some gameplay would be amazing. Or maybe you'll just clip over some gameplay over this shitty ass how to play shit. So
Well, I mean, maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's it is pointing out
yeah,
the
the different
the
things.
fact that there are different ways that you can play. You can play with the gamepad, you can play with motion controls, mouse and keyboard. Lots of options here. This actually was an old Sega game. It was like maybe on Sega Saturn, I'm thinking.
Okay. So let me ask you
This guy,
this. Did you play this when you play it? Did you play it sitting down or standing up? Because I started playing sitting down, and then I was like, I like halfway through, I had to stand up and push my chair out of the way because the way that it moves, like it wants to turn with your movement of your head. And I needed to move, man. I needed to main fan that shit. I needed to spin around,
Oh,
and be able to move around a lot easier.
I remember. Did you change your options in it, like so that the aiming wasn't hybrid? Because like it defaults to this hybrid aiming that has something to do with
I did not.
where you're looking at. It makes it a lot harder, or at least for me, it was a lot harder to play that way. And when I made it so that the aiming was controller only, or maybe vision only,
It's probably a
uh,
controller, and I know it was hybrid, and it was kind of a pain in the ass. And the biggest thing I wanted to do, Wes, is I just wanted to analog stick it. I just wanted to spin my guy around with the analog, and it wasn't letting me. It made me physically turn to get the camera to turn, because sometimes shit's coming. You killed everything in front of you, and you're like, okay, there's nothing here, and there's shit
behind
behind you,
you.
and or it's above or below you. Like, this is a mind fuck, man. There's shit going on everywhere, and that, like you said, there's so many different ways to do it. Like, even just holding down the button, you can target 8 different objects and then have them go at once, or sometimes you have to shoot them individually, and you're hitting those different layers, and then other shit's happening, and it just gets crazier and crazier. But I think you're right. I think I got into a trance mode or something, and just ended up doing it and not getting hit somehow. I don't know. I'm still
Yeah.
kind of blown away, but
Yeah, this is kind of nuts. To answer your question, no, I didn't stand it off for it. I just used the trusty old swivel chair that
mm,
spins 360. And when the guy was behind me, I just spun my chair around.
I know I had to stand up after a little bit, but I just feel like it was a little bit more, I was a little bit easier to move, but yeah, it was definitely really cool. And the visuals on this were next level. It's by the same people that are same guy that did Tetris Effect. And what's kind of cool about this is, I guess I kind of felt like you couldn't die, but you can. You get levels, and if you get shit hits you, you lose a level and it'll go down or whatever. Because I did do that in the original res before I did the Area X one. But nah, it's very, very visual, very crazy haptics, music, all that shit's going on. So
Right. You can see the foundation upon which Tetris Effect was built here, right?
mm,
You can see them playing with concepts that came to fruition in Tetris Effect when it comes to the integration of the audio and the visual and the haptics and just everything all together. This is where it started.
yeah, this one was a little bit more you were able to see the visuals more, only because Tetris Effect, there's so much stuff going on, and there's a lot more, if you mess up, there's a lot more you get penalized a lot more, like on here, it's
Right.
pretty hard to die. Like, a lot of it's, you're trying to get the most amount of shots in, you're trying to kill everything. And so when at the end, you get graded on that. But yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah. So I played through the original Res, but never went on to play the Area X. And I've heard many people say on many different occasions that the Area X is where it's at. That's the one thing that you want to do. Uh, would you say that the Area X is better than the original Res game?
Yeah, it was weird though. It seemed like it was pretty much close to the same game, but like I said, what for me was different, and maybe I still don't understand exactly how all the levels work. Is when you get to the area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where you have the actual levels, because you go through something that has nothing to do with levels or any layers, and that was weird too. And I think that was the actual area X. But then I found the areas 1 through 5, only because I was trying to do the beyond level, and it said you couldn't do it until you beat area 5, and I was like, I don't even know what area 5 is. And then I started looking into it. It's like, oh shit, there's areas I got to beat. So, but yeah, no, I don't understand exactly the difference. I couldn't definitively say, oh man, hands down, it's that much better, because I almost didn't even notice if there was a difference when I first played the two. Um, but I'm sure I'm missing something. Oh.
Oh, cool. Well, I will definitely need to check that out at some point because I really enjoyed my experience through the original game here, and uh, this is a game that still retails for like $25 or $30, but it does go on sale from time to time, especially on PC. This is a game that's also on PlayStation VR. As a matter of fact, this is one of those nostalgia games for me because it was one of my first VR experiences actually. But there's a demo level on the PlayStation VR Demo Disc Volume 1. So this actually was one of the first things I ever experienced in VR, Roots.
That's crazy. What's really crazy about that, if you think about it, man, if you go back just a few years, we were at that level where a lot of things we tried were demos, right? It was all that the good stuff were demos or short experiences. And it just reiterates to me how spoiled a lot of the people going into VR now are. I'm already seeing posts on Reddit West where people are bitching about there's no games. Where's all the new games for the Quest, man? Like, what the fuck, dude? This is bullshit. Like, dude,
It is bullshit.
yeah, it's bullshit, man. I'm ready to smash my Quest. I don't have one yet, but if I
Go
get
buy one just so you can smash it.
yeah.
But no, those early PlayStation VR demo discs were outstanding. I actually considered having you do one of those for the because I said so. Just go through and play all the playable content on one of the demo discs.
That's a good idea, actually, for a future thing, just because it's probably something I would never go back and try, you know?
Yeah, you need to play Kitchen. You need to play the Star Child demo.
Kitchen.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's Persistence on there. There's Drive Club and Gran Turismo. And I mean, there's all kinds of stuff on there. Well, maybe not Gran Turismo. Maybe I'm just thinking of Drive Club. But yeah, there's lots of stuff. I think maybe even Astrobot on one of the newer ones.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what they showed you for Astrobot, you know, like as the demo. Was it the first level or?
I don't know. I haven't played it. But I'm sure it's one of those early levels.
Okay.
Rush of Blood. Rush of Blood was on there. The second level from Rush of Blood was on the PSVR demo. Again, one of the first things that I played in VR.
I want Rush of Blood 2.
Don't we all? Rush of Blood 2, Farpoint 2. I can go on forever, and I normally do. Yeah, I want some sequels, man. I don't, sure, it's going to be another year or two on a next gen headset. Fine. Just give me some sequels, bro.
Yeah.
Some new levels. That's all I want.
Yeah, you got Lone Echo 2 coming out. That's a sequel. I still need to finish 1, so.
Right. Yeah, you and me both. Maybe we could do a Because I Said So for both of us and just tell each other to play that game.
Yeah, I feel like once I get to the event that everybody talks about, I think I'll be okay. I need to get past being Olivia's bitch, because that's what I feel like. I've just basically go do this, go do that, go do this. Hey, go over there and grab this for me. And I'm done.
You know what the event's going to end up being, right?
No, what?
It's going to be DJ Scott Marshall.
Oh, yeah. Probably, man. His show was pretty good this week, so. No.
Anyway, that's it for Because I Said So. Why is that it? Because I said so. Anyway, I think we came out of this week with some pretty good perspective as far as these games go, and some pretty good perspective as far as our backlogs go, because I've made a mental note: play Ninja Legends, play Lone Echo, right?
Yeah. We're creating ideas and we're knocking shit off the list at the same time. Like I can say I've played this game through all the way, and I also got some good achievements as well. I got Bird in the Sky, dude. It's crazy.
Well, you know what they say: a bird in the sky is worth more than two in the hand.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Something like that. Two in the bush, or I don't know.
Anyway, so let's move on to our discussion topic of the week. Um, a bit of contemplation we're going to engage in this week, a little bit of speculation. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what to think, Roots. You know, we've detailed many times on this channel the year that VR has had since April of last year through today. We've kind of come to the conclusion that VR is just taking off.
Mm.
Finally, after all these years, VR is taking off. And I don't want to completely rehash all the reasons that we believe that, because I feel like we've covered that pretty thoroughly on this channel on more than one episode dedicated to it. Most notably the 2019 show. So I would refer any of you who haven't seen the 2019 show to go back and get started. And by the time 2020 is over with, you'll have it finished. But no, we feel like VR is on a new level and it's reaching new highs every day. It started back in April with the new hardware. Oculus Quest came out as the first ever standalone VR headset that gives you real VR without a PC, without a console. You can have real VR in your back pocket. And this has revolutionized the face of the VR gaming industry. And then Valve Index came out and took the high end of VR a little higher. So those out there who have a deep enough bank account and want the very best experience can now have that. And that's when VR started to build some momentum. And right after that, we started getting the software. No Man's Sky, Borderlands, you know, Asgard's Wrath really set the bar up on a new level. And then so many other games, Stormlands, you know, Boneworks, The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, and I can go on and on and on. Even, you know, even the second tier games are better now than what they were a year ago. And it's because the bar is raised, right, Roots? And VR over this last year really has gone way higher than we ever expected it to go, at least in the at this stage, right?
Yeah, we pretty much weren't expecting it to blow up and just take off like it is, and now we're finally getting the AAA games that we've been waiting for. And you got the Half-Life Alex, we got the shit, I can't even think of that
Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor. Yeah, we got Medal of Honor coming out. We got a lot of big games in the works as well that we don't even know about yet. And then all of a sudden, bam, we got this kink. We got this cable that's just starting to get wound up. You know, it looks like somebody's twisted in a circle and their VR cable's getting all fucked up and ready to just break. And it kind of makes me a little worried, actually.
Yeah, well, we were flying high going into the holiday season. VR was the thing that people wanted for Christmas. Finally, you know, I said it last year that VR was going to be the thing that people wanted, and it turned out not to be that way. This last year, it actually turned out to be VR was what everybody wanted, and it sold out. You know, Oculus Quest went on back order, and then we had the announcement of Half-Life Alyx, which drove the Valve Index even to go on back order. And, you know, it was back ordered into January, and then it was back ordered into February, then March. Then they said, you know what, we can't even take orders anymore until the supply starts to catch up with the demand. And everything looked great. You know, there was way more demand than we ever thought there was going to be. We had these compelling software, you know, known IPs coming out with exclusive VR content that everyone wants to play. The prognosis couldn't be any brighter for VR. And then we hit a hitch. And it's not just a VR hitch, it's a worldwide hitch with coronavirus. The coronavirus outbreak in China has put everyday life to a standstill over there. And I want to go ahead and point out, you know, we don't mean to trivialize the plight of these people. If I could put down my headset today and magically save these people's lives, I would do it without giving it a second thought. We understand that human life is the most precious thing in the world, but today we want to look at this from a global economy perspective, and then on a more macro level on the VR gaming perspective. Because Roots, I feel like we're in danger here of all of this momentum and goodwill that we've built up over the last year coming crashing to a halt.
Yeah, because I don't think people realize how much stuff gets produced in China. And not only that, but China owns most of the world's rare earth minerals rights. So even if you're not making your part, making it in there, you're getting the parts from there, the material. So, you know, and you're right. We're not trivializing it. And it's kind of sad because I was telling you before we started recording, I saw on Reddit and people are like, oh, I'm not saying blah, 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 but, I want my Quest. And I'm like, well, fuck, dude. Like, because they're bitching because there's delays. And I said this last week, and I'm already seeing Quests go on sale on Amazon for $700-800. And, if you can get one now, it's probably a good time to pick one up because I think another week or two and people are really going to be freaking out. And it's like you said, we had everything rolling so good, and I am a little worried that this could just really put a huge kink in the whole thing, and people won't be able to get their headsets, and maybe they just decide not to go into VR anymore. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. People have short memories and short attention spans these days. And as things stand today, Half-Life Alyx is coming. Medal of Honor is coming. And people want their headsets so that they can play this game. This is what they want. They want their Valve Index so that they can play this game. And they've been told that that's the best way to play it, and the people who have the money have ordered it. But the reality is that Oculus came out this past week and said that they're going to indefinitely production is going to indefinitely be affected by the coronavirus outbreak in China. And interestingly, Valve, who previously said that they would fill their back order out before Alyx released, they give us a release date for Alyx, but still no news on their back order situation. So the worry here is, what if people can't get their headsets by the time Half-Life Alyx comes out? And then another month goes by and they start to care a little less about that game because they've seen it played through on YouTube 50 times at this point. My question is will the demand still be there if people don't get this thing now when they want it, when it's hot? And really, Roots, only time's going to tell.
Yeah. I think Half-Life Alyx is a big enough game that people would still, at least the big fans, are still going to want to play with it or play it. But I can't see how this doesn't affect the industry overall, because it's already affecting it. People are already, that's what was so bad is we had that shortage, like you said, there was a big hype. Everybody got pushed back with their orders, and things were just starting to catch up. I mean, just starting to catch up. People were getting their headsets. Amazon was getting, we all thought, okay, now we can get our Quests forever again. And then this happens and everything starts to dry up again. And this is worse because this doesn't seem to be slowing down. It seems to be picking up speed. And, I don't see how this doesn't completely affect everything. And every article I'm reading is saying it's affecting, televisions. Just anything that has electronics or mass produced. And it's waking a lot of companies up. A lot of companies that thought it was a good idea to put all their eggs in one basket and put all, like I was reading, even companies that have contingency plans for earthquakes and disasters, their contingency plans are in other places in China. So they like they're still fucked, you know, there's no one out of China. So maybe that's not the only place you should be building stuff, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. But let me ask you this, Roots. You know, we know, or at least we have speculated that uh, the purpose of the Half-Life Alyx game being in VR was to enlighten the larger gaming world to the power of VR. This game is meant to bring people in. That's kind of why Valve made the game, was to bring people into VR. If there aren't enough headsets to go around at this current point in time, do you think that they should delay the game until everyone has their headsets ready?
I think so, dude. Like at some point, like I want to say maybe not, but like depending on how long it is, you know, I mean, it's going to piss everybody else that has it out, you know, that has them already. They're going to get pissed, but, you know, gotta worry about the other people, right?
Well, it's not just worrying about the other people. It's about worrying about VR
in
as
general.
a whole. You know, we want to maintain this momentum. Now, I'm not saying that I wish that they would delay it. Obviously, I want to play it just like everyone else wants to play it. I think it's going to be the best VR game that I've ever seen. My question is if it's going to be 2 or 3 months down the line before headsets become available again for these people, would VR as a whole be better off? And it might. You know, I don't know that it would, because we do. I mean, these people could always cancel their Valve order. Oculus Rift S is available, and if you're new to VR and you're in the situation that you can't get your index to play Half-Life Alyx, Half-Life Alyx will play just fine on Oculus Rift S, and you can order those right now for a fraction of the price. And it's not that you're getting this terrible experience either. The Oculus Rift S is an amazing device.
Well, and see, that's where I was going to take it next, and you read my mind, is like in every crisis, there's going to be those that get hurt and those that benefit. So if index can't be gotten, so maybe the Rift S does benefit, or, you know, what we were joking about last week, like maybe the Cosmos is the only one people can get their hands on, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, man, people are buying Cosmos left and right because there are no other headsets, because Rift S will sell out. You know, you can get those now, but if the index you can't get those, that will be the next thing people go to, because that is the next best one. And I don't care, people can suck it. I keep seeing Odyssey Plus things, you know. Man, people keep telling me the Odyssey Plus is better than the Rift S. Man, I don't get it. It's not. So.
But I want to go back to Vive Cosmos, because you touched on something there that I was actually going to bring up as what really my biggest worry in this whole thing is what if they can't get their hands on a Valve Index, but maybe they do have some clue and know that the HTC Vive was originally built on the Valve technology, and they decide to go that route. I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing, Roots. I think that could show people a very bad experience as their first VR experience, and they may take their headset back within a week of having it, based upon being introduced to VR through the lenses of a Vive Cosmos.
Yeah, you're right, because they're going to get in there and they're going to say, this is VR, this is fucking janky, this tracking is horrible, and you know, these controllers keep draining my batteries every 5 seconds. What's going on?
Right.
Yeah, they're going to have a very bad taste in their mouth. So you're right, it's good for HTC for the short term, but I mean,
it's a perfect recipe to have Gear VR 2.0 all over again because, you know, we were so elated when VR finally started to take off in 2019 because of the struggle that we had throughout 2017 and 2018. And VR didn't succeed when they expected it to succeed. And a lot of that had to do with Gear VR and people buying these, you know, having their Samsung Galaxy phones, buying these cheap headsets to put it in and saying, this is VR. VR was supposed to be amazing. This sucks. And that's what happened with Gear VR. And we're just now starting to get over that. And if enough people, you know, decide to buy into a Vive Cosmos because that's all they can get their hands on, I think we could see a very similar thing happen here. And again, I'm not saying that I think this is going to happen, but it's definitely likely enough to cause a little bit of concern, right?
Yeah, because the only headsets they're going to be able to get a hold of are the Odyssey, the Windows Mixed Reality, the Cosmos, all the ones that have shitty tracking and or mediocre at best, and just aren't the best headsets. And it could potentially do things in a bad. You know, I would say the same thing about the Go as well. You know, I know it was revolutionary when it first came out, but now people talk about it like it's still viable. And if I was looking at, like, say, Saints and Sinners, I watched Saints and Sinners, and then I ran out and bought a Go, fucking happy with that either, bro. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be like, what is this, dude? Like, it's almost not, and it almost needs to disappear as well, or be marketed as, like, you know, something different, because it's not real VR. You're gonna say PlayStation VR is not real VR? I would say the Go is not real VR. It's very borderline.
Call it an immersive media player or something like that.
Yeah, so, you know, you want to watch. It's just not. It's just not. So.
All right, well, let's move on from Half-Life Alyx and Valve and talk about, you know, honestly, just as big a deal, if not more so than that, is the Oculus Quest. Because honestly, as many people as want to buy a Valve to get in for Half-Life Alyx, there's probably twice as many people who want their Oculus Quest just because they want their damn Oculus Quest, right? You know, at least 10 times a day when I'm off work, watching videos online, I'm seeing Oculus Quest commercials. I don't know if you're seeing the same ones I am, but it's all the time that they're running these ads. Oculus Quest, Oculus Quest, Oculus Quest. It's a high demand item right now. You said yourself, people are selling them for $700 and $800 on Amazon right now. Oculus clearly still shoveling the money into advertising this thing, trying to keep the demand level high. How long do you think it is before they start to pull back?
I don't know, especially with this going on. They might tame it back a little bit, but it's just doing so well, and it's so well known now. And I mean, everybody's talking about it. It's just such a big item. So I bet it wouldn't be that much longer. I mean, if you're getting to the point where you're having trouble producing it, you're not going to want to keep telling people to buy it, you know?
Yeah, and everybody wants one. I mean, everybody wants one. We're starting to see what happens before an item blows up. The precursors are all there. The general awareness in the public, people who aren't gamers even, they know what Oculus Quest is now. They know what VR is. And that wasn't necessarily true a year ago. And we're starting to see athletes and celebrities post videos on their Instagram and Facebook of them playing VR. Really, it's unbelievable how great it's been, right?
Yeah, just wait until you see the first commercials for Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners start. When it's out and people have Quest, that game, like, people are flipping out now for PC, but I predict when that drops, barring all this shit we're talking about today, it's going to blow up even more, because that'll be the biggest title that is going to hit for the Quest, and it's a mainstream series that everybody loves, right? And it's fucking awesome. It's the best game I've played in VR to date, or one of them, and being on that platform, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, you know, it never ceases to amaze me how quickly these developers are getting good at making these games. You wouldn't believe what that little 835 can do, man. Seriously, it's going to blow you away. Not like a PC blows you away, like with burning your eyeballs out with these beautiful, amazing scenes. But when you hear Snapdragon 835, you go in with a certain expectation, and then when you see that they can make moss in it and they can make red matter in it, and it looks real, you know what I mean? And you know what Vader Immortal looks like. It largely looks like that in the Quest as well. And you know, we've got Deathlap on it, awesome game. The Climb on there, all sorts of awesome games already on it. More games coming. Like you said, The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, Down the Rabbit Hole's coming for it.
Onslaught, or is Onslaught coming for that, or is that just
I don't think
PlayStation?
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Onslaught's coming. I mean, I could be wrong, and maybe it is, but just an absolutely amazing device. Demand at an all-time high, but like I said, if it's going to be 6 months, 9 months before they can start to manufacture these things again, I'm not so sure that Oculus is going to want to keep this constant barrage of ads up. It might be smarter to pack it in, take more of an approach like they took last year by sending out headsets to influencers just to keep their name in the news. It'd be a lot cheaper than running commercials. And then when the production ramps back up, then we turn on the great American ad machine again and bring that, see if we can't bring back the demand.
Yeah, that's what the problem with this is. I was reading in some articles, and they were saying, you know, pretty much production in almost every other um, avenue would be not that big a deal to move to a different country and just start up, but it takes like it's like $1 billion to start up one of these setups, and it takes a lot of production to get it going. So just instantly being up and running, it's just not going to happen. Hopefully they'll be smart enough to start, you know, finding a different country, maybe this one, you know, where there's not Wuhan flu floating around. You know, start producing some stuff in other places, because like I said, having all your eggs in one basket is just never a good idea. So
yeah, it's tough though. I mean, any kind of electronics, like you said, it isn't so much the products themselves necessarily that's coming from China, but the components, you know, the silicon boards and the microprocessors, all this sorts of things are what we rely on China for. And like you said, they own all of the mineral rights, or at least a very significant portion of them. And we truly have come to a point of no return as far as being a global economy. Obviously, we could scale back to a simpler way of living and be just fine living within our borders. But if we want to continue to the stars through technology, it would be kind of difficult to do that without all of the Eastern Asian countries.
yeah, absolutely.
So we've talked about, you know, Valve, and we've talked about the Oculus Quest, but it wasn't that long ago that PlayStation VR was on top of the world. You know, PC VR gamers were complaining, we have nothing to play. Quest wasn't even a thing, nor was the Index. But at that time, PSVR was booming. You know, everybody was buying in. It was affordable, and the game library was amazing. It's taken a bit of a dip lately, and it's almost unanimous now that everyone believes the reason why PlayStation VR is having a bit of a lull right now is because it's getting ready to bounce back in a big way after the launch of the PlayStation 5. Now, a lot of people expected in the early part of February for the big reveal of PlayStation 5 to come out with the release date, with the pricing information, with the specs. We haven't gotten any of that stuff yet, Roots. All we've gotten is a logo, and knowing that Sony is a Chinese company, as time goes on, I'm starting to get more and more nervous because whether the PCVR community wants to admit it or not, PlayStation 5 is going to be a big deal for VR. And if it gets delayed, this could be a pretty devastating blow for what is already a fairly weakened PSVR platform.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it almost is going to be affected, you know, because I'm sure they get their parts from Japan, gets it from China as well. And at least I read some of that. And, you know, it's one of those things that, I mean, like you said, everything is all the rare earth minerals, I think is 90 plus percent are owned by China. So we're getting all these components, and you have not only the PlayStation 5, which has to be built, all of those have to be built. And so does the PSVR 2, which is now starting to, you know, we mentioned this a month or two ago and people kind of acted like we were crazy, but, you know, there's rumors now that that's going to be coming out in the next year or so. We'll see if that happens or not, but those also have to be built. Also, all those parts, and if that gets stopped on a dime, I can't even imagine what that's going to do to PlayStation VR, because it's just in this lull, and it needs to bounce back, and it's ready to bounce back. And it makes me a little worried.
Yeah, me as well. And thanks for the correction there. You're right. I said Sony is a Chinese company because I've got China on my brain. They're a Japanese company, but they have the same issues that we've just laid out for Valve and for Oculus. Their products are made out of all the same stuff, and yeah, I've heard these same rumors that you've been hearing, and they seem fairly credible. People were saying now maybe it's not PSVR 2, but there's going to be another PlayStation VR headset released by the spring of 2021, which is not that long after the PS5 launch.
Mm-hmm.
Music to my ears, and this would be a big deal, and it would certainly explain why there's no games coming out right now. If all the big developers are working on next gen games, then all of a sudden this lull makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're not only there's not only a lull for the software of the PlayStation 5, but it's also the new controllers, hopefully for the 1.5 PSVR or whatever they're implementing. Everything's changing for that platform. And so as a developer, would you want to make your game now, or would you want to wait 6 months and have it release on the new software or the new hardware? It just makes sense. And I would be very surprised if we didn't see another PSVR released, if only because the competition they're getting, we've talked about it before, they're getting so far behind in hardware wise as far as the screens and the controllers and the tracking, that if they don't respond now, they're screwed. So yeah, I think it's coming. Or is it? With all this shit going on here, I don't know, man. Maybe it gets delayed. You know, you can't have all these things. It's not only these, it's TVs, it's everything. Everything's trying to use the same resources, and it's just not happening, you know?
Yeah, and it's, if Sony weren't able to release PlayStation VR 2 when they wanted to, it would be a blow to them, sure, from a perspective of a competition with the other guys. But, it would kind of be a drop in a bucket to them, as their bread and butter is the PlayStation. And if they can get that to market, a lot of things, it's going to solve a lot of problems for them. But think about these developers. Think about if you're a Sony London Studios or Sony Japan Studios or Firesprite Games or one of these top flight VR or gaming houses in the world. If you're putting all your eggs into making a PlayStation VR 2 game right now, and then you're expecting to be able to launch this thing in April next year, only to have it slide back to December, I mean, that could be a pretty big blow, right?
Yeah, that's 8 months of not getting that money in, and a lot of these companies are on the edge, right? They need that money coming in. So
Yeah. Yeah. Which, uh, a lot of them under the Sony umbrella, thankfully, have uh, multiple things going on. But I mean, you don't have to look far back into the news to see what can happen with if things aren't going perfectly for these development studios. I mean, look at Playful and their restructuring. I mean, they had what might be the most highly anticipated PlayStation VR exclusive of the year, if not at least in the top two or three, was Star Child, and they were rather far along in the development of that game, and now the future is very questionable.
You know
Um,
what's funny is there's a conundrum as we're running into problems with VR. I was just thinking, I was reading an article how it's actually in China helping VR in a sense, at least because people know everybody's trapped and no one can go out. They said that the servers are crashing and stuff because so many people are going into VR experiences that so I guess that's somewhat of a silver lining. It's one of those things I was joking about with Scion and gaming science teacher earlier when we were playing, because she bridge crew, because she's sick. It's like you can still hang out with people and not have to take that risk. So if this thing gets even worse, you might see a lot more gaming, or going to the movies and big screen, or anything to avoid dealing with all those sicky people out there. I don't want to get sick, Wes. So
until people start meeting up in alt space and catching computer viruses.
if you go into alt space and you catch a coronavirus or something, you got problems, bro. Yeah, but maybe some kind of a computer virus as well. Yeah, but I don't know.
Trojan.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I thought that was ironic that they said that all those servers are crashing because there's so many people going into VR. Because VR is, we think it's big here. It's 10 times bigger there.
What I find ironic is the timing of this thing, because HTC owns the market in China, and if everyone's in China is playing VR, they're playing on their Vives, and it was just a few weeks ago, maybe a month, that HTC said that they would very soon reveal their strategy for the future when it comes to consumer-based VR. Maybe HTC released the coronavirus.
I don't know, man. They are a pretty evil company. Maybe they are somehow they're insulating. They're trying to screw everybody else. That'd be very interesting. But yeah, those fuckers.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. China number one.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we've pretty thoroughly explored this one, right? We've pretty much beat it into the ground at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my main thing is there is some good things to this whole thing, very minuscule good things, and hopefully this will blow over and it'll be, business as usual, and we can go back to, taking everything for granted.
And let me be clear. I do believe that that's what's going to happen here, at least from a consumer electronics perspective. I feel like by the time the warm weather takes hold and summertime rolls around, this is going to be a distant memory as far as VR is concerned. People are going to get their headsets. The new games are going to be awesome, and we're all going to live happily ever after. But we might not, and we thought it was important that we give our viewers a little bit of perspective with what this could mean for us. I mean, and again, let me be clear here. If VR crashes and it once again becomes dead and we don't get the games that we want because of it over the next year, then we were the lucky ones, because there are some thousands of people dead in China from this thing. If we get to sit here and be bored because we don't have a game, then we should count our blessings.
Yeah, that was the thing that blew me away, is when people were like in Reddit bitching about not getting their Quest as people are dying from this virus. I was like, yeah, that's a pretty crazy way to look at it, But it is the 2020, you know, it's like, what can I get? And I want it now.
Right.
And I don't,
Me.
yeah, I don't care. Fuck those dead people. Which I'm not saying that. That's somebody else, some rude person. I'm quoting.
I'm gonna cut it up and
Yeah.
put you on Reddit, dude.
Yeah, that'd be good. It's
The
just
funny
just
thing is, if I were to cut that part up and put it on Reddit, you'd probably get all kinds of upvotes.
probably these days that people are like, yeah, no. I don't know, man. And sometimes I wonder about Reddit. I don't know. I think I got a pulse on how things work, and then people respond such weird ways, or they're downvoting shit, or they're upvoting stuff, like you said, that shouldn't be upvoted. And I'm like, why is that being upvoted? So I don't know.
Topsy-turvy world, Roots. I've said it time and again. It's topsy-turvy world.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the ride, right? That's all we can do is just grab on and just run with it. So
Yeah, I'm just going to charge my quest and let the world burn around me, man. And I'm just going to play the climb and death lap and
I was gonna say that. Is there not a small part of you, like, okay, say there's a shortage and Alex drops and people can't play it, I'm gonna feel a little bit privileged. I'm gonna be playing Alex and I'm gonna be like, I got mine. You didn't get your right. Oh, that sucks, dude. You didn't get your shit. I can play my shit. So.
Yeah, that sucks for you, man.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Oh, anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up for the Monday show 26. What did you think? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay up with all of our content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. With that said, friends, we'd like to thank you once again for watching. And for Roots, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
Stay easy.